Hi everyone, it's your boy Zach, and believe it or not, I had surgery like 2 days ago. I sound just fine, don't I? I was reading online and they were saying it was a very rough, 2-week recovery period for sinus surgery. No, I'm fine. I mean, I got one nostril stuffed up, but the other one's good, and they should both be solid. I'm surprised. Although I do have like the routine of nobody can. They give you the list and all these different sprays. It's like nobody could do. That's a full-time job. I'm literally supposed to do this stuff every hour for 2 weeks. It's fine. Anyway, this isn't really the channel where I talk about my day. I do that on the other channel. But anyway, I watched And Just Like That episode 7 yesterday, and I had to conduct an investigation because this show was so bad. I need answers. I don't just need my opinion. I need facts. I need evidence. I need data, or because it's so bad. And I'm watching, I got into TikTok, so, once TikTok, sees, oh, you were watching this, it's showing me all the other people with the TikToks doing their review, and everyone just seems, and I love being the person, the contrarian. I love when everyone's like, this is terrible. It's like, I enjoy it. No, it's just really bad. It's so bad I actually had to do some research, like go to the IMDb and the Twitter of these different people writing and producing, like, what's your deal? And the basic problem is women. Okay. Need a needle scratch sound effect right there. So there was this theory that used to be bandied about constantly, especially like 20 years ago when, entertainment blogs became a thing. And it was that the women in Sex and the City weren't actually women. By that, they were doing like a meta thing. They're like the gals, the main characters from Sex and the City. Although they hired women and they are presented as women in the story, they're actually gay men. And there was some very stereotypical reasons for this, but they basically said, their sexuality was more voracious. They said these are gay men written as women because you're not going to get in, 1998? You're not going to get a TV show approved. It's like, we want to do a comedy about the sex lives of flamboyantly gay men. Like, that wouldn't have been approved. And most likely it wouldn't. It wasn't that great of a theory. It was one of those ones where it was interesting enough to like think about it. And you're like, no. The only one who actually seems like, I always felt like Samantha was kind of like, she felt like she was like a drag queen. Like just the way she, especially her voice, it's like, that's like a persona. Like she's putting on a persona. It's not that, with Kristen Stewart where she plays a character who's sillier than she is. Like Samantha actually talks like a drag queen and seems to have the personality, but it doesn't really fit. What really was, the show is two gay men, Michael Patrick King and Darren Star, and them observing women and celebrating them and making fun of them basically in equal measure. Whereas now I looked at it, and Darren Star is not associated. I mean, I think his name is on there just, for legal reasons. I don't think he has anything to do with it. Michael Patrick King is, just like with Sex and the City, he's writing like the first couple episodes and the last couple episodes, but not really that connected. So I looked it up, and there's actually, Steve gets done so dirty in the latest episode that there was actually several interviews with the writers, and of course they think what they're doing is amazing. But it does feel like, it feels like a couple things. This is what it feels like. You're playing Jenga, and it's all about like, what can we take away before this whole thing collapses? But every time it collapses, they go, whoa, no, set it up again, do over. Somebody bumped the edge of the table. So you set it up all again, and you take out more pieces, and it falls over. You go, no, that didn't count, 'cause somebody opened the door, and a gust of wind, And Just Like That is literally a failed game of Jenga where it's like, okay, so let's take out Mr. Big. And let's take out, it wasn't on purpose. Let's take out Stanford. And hey, let's just take out the sex. There's almost no sex. Almost none. Let's take out the fun. Let's take out the romance. Let's just take like so many things away till it's just characters who, names, and you recognize the actor or actress, but even like the personalities are completely different. And it's weird. So what I looked up is there's a writing team that were on like the final couple seasons of Sex and the City, and they're the ones who wrote this, episode 7, which is just terrible. I looked at the other people and they're just someone. They're like mommy bloggers, or it's a lot of bloggers on there, which does make sense since Carrie was a blogger. But like, no one's really that special. Like, you can look at like the first season and what's her name, Genji Kohan. She ended up creating the Weed comedy. No, it was called Weed. Weed. But then she created Orange Is the New Black. Like, you look at Michael Patrick King and Darren Star, they had done a lot of stuff. And now it's just a bunch of like mommy bloggers who just think, if you wonder like, why is this show so boring and depressing? I think it's because these women are just writing like their life. So they're like, yeah, what we had Miranda to do to Steve is, cruel, but that happens. It's like, is that what you're doing to your husband right now? So in this episode 7, we get Che back again. They keep doing these time skips, which are weird. What do we get? We get some more lesbian relationship propaganda. Apparently lesbian sex is just like Super Saiyan next level. Like, you can't even describe it with human words. You have to like form holograms with your mind, psychic powers, and that's the only way you could. It's just the most amazing thing. So Che is back with the shittiest excuse ever that freaking Miranda should have DM'd her again. Oh, and also she smokes weed, so she has a bad memory. Like, what the hell? Miranda tortures Steve. Tortures him. I rewatched the movies, and there was a plot line where he cheated on her in the first movie, and then that made her hate marriage, and then she said that's big and all this type of stuff. But even like, what was that, like 15 years ago? It was very clear that Miranda was like, just like, I will have sex when I feel like it. I'm going to basically cut Steve off. And Steve was, struggling with it. Now he's just completely given up. So in this really awkward, cruel scene, and they've established that it's a sexless marriage and has been for at least a decade. I mean, pretty much, 15 years ago, essentially was. But it's implied all they do is they just have ice cream together and they have this very boring relationship. And so she tries to like, oh, I'm going to do my part as a wife, and like, she basically ambushes him. I mean, it's very clear that they haven't had sex for like a decade. He doesn't know what the fuck to do. And instead of like trying to help him out, she's just like, you're terrible. Well, Miranda, you're better because you're having more practice because you're cheating on him. Maybe if you hadn't completely shut off the freaking faucet 10 years ago, he would be a little bit smoother. And so it just becomes this awful thing. And I was reading the writers, and they're like, well, stuff like this happens and she's finding her truth, and it's like, no, she's just being a bitch. And also, huge mistake to say, okay, we lost Samantha, so let's make Miranda like the lead. Now, yeah, she probably is the best actress out of all of them, but Miranda's never been a particularly likable character. She's just kind of was like the high-strung bitchy one. And I think they should have. First of all, I'm doing this whole rewriting thing. The whole thing is just a mess. It's just a freaking. This whole season is a mess, and they're doing these articles. It's like, oh, is there going to be a season 2? Will there? Can they do that? It's like, I don't get the impression from anyone in this show that anyone wants a second season. This feels like a one and done project. Just done for the money. Like when Sean Connery came back to make Diamonds Are Forever. Like, it's everyone's miserable. Oh, Carrie's vomiting. Yeah, we got that. And then Anthony is just talking about just shitting himself. Now, as grimy as a subject this is, when Charlotte shitted herself, it was in the first movie, right? It was funny, and it was kind of awkward, and they built up to it, no pun intended. It worked as a scene. In this one, Anthony just says it out of nowhere. Oh, you threw up? I shitted myself one time. Oh, really? How'd you shit yourself? I ate ice cream and then I shit. I don't know. What the hell? You got freaking Carrie freaking pissing herself. Then her and her date puking. And that was the saddest date ever. I know that was kind of the point, but it's like, what is the point of everything in the show? It's like, how sad can we make it? Sex and the City was not a sad show. It was and they had the little jaunty music. And it's so awkward when you realize that the theme song for And Just Like That is the same kind of up-tempo jaunty music like they had for Sex and the City. No. It needs to be like a dirge, like on like church organ music from like the Middle Ages. Like, this is just sad. There's like so many missteps. I think the number one misstep is it's no longer two talented gay men putting a spotlight on women, sometimes not that charitably. And that was the strength of Sex and the City TV show and the two movies. And now it's women just saying like, I'm just going to write about my day. I'm in a loveless marriage. I'm going to write about that. Okay, where's the twist? Where's the elevation? A magical square-headed lesbian will finger me every 3 months. It'll be the most important thing in my life. I don't even think you believe this. So the answer, like I said, I had to conduct an investigation, and the answer is that it's fundamentally changed, behind the scenes. It's now just completely mediocre mommy bloggers writing it, and it doesn't have, the point of view and the talent that it had back in the day. Man, I do not know why. I'm blanking on her name. Sarah Jessica Parker. I'm sure she got a good payday out of it, but I see them also listed as like associate producers. I know that's like kind of like an honorary tale, but she can't be like, no, I don't want to piss myself and then puke on myself. It's not my thing. I don't want to do, she's powerful enough to say stuff like that, right? Just feels like no one's, let's not even get into the fact that now all the straight relationships are just shit. Do you remember the Soulful Saint black couple that they weren't doing anything? Oh, they're arguing in front of people at a charity event. Miranda refusing to say sorry after knocking her husband over at a mixed doubles tennis game is the weirdest plot point I've seen in any TV show ever. It comes out of absolutely nowhere. All I can think about is they're trying to pump up. It's like, hey, the lesbian relationship between Che and Miranda, it might not be perfect, but it's better than literally every straight relationship in this universe, their TV show universe. So, not a recommend. I am going to finish this season just out of inertia. Michael Patrick King is coming back to co-write the last two episodes, so those should be as weird as the first two episodes were. They felt like they were in the same universe. You got the freaking professor and her boring husband Ivy. Like that doesn't even fit in this show. Like it feels like it's from another show entirely. Anyway, my investigation has determined that the show sucks, and whatever.